Good morning, sir. Good morning. Good morning. Very good. Like
We
it.
are underway. We're officially underway.
The train is left the station.
That's right.
Very good. How are you?
Okay. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Hectic week. I don't know about you, but the 3 days on the road and then trying to catch up on those 3 days in one day was hard. But that's all right.
I have full confidence in you.
Do you? Okay. Well, that's,
Yeah.
you know what? I need the lovely Mrs. Brown to have full confidence in me and you to have full confidence in me. If I got both of those, life is just fine.
That life is good.
Yep, I'll take it.
Happy Tom, happy life, I think is how it works.
Can we go with Happy Darlene first and then Happy Tom?
No, I think Tom first.
Okay, well, when you're here in the next couple of weeks and you run into her over dinner, why don't you guys have that chat and then you guys decide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob wants to know if we're in Benihana. I don't think so, no. But that sounds good, actually.
I didn't catch that. What were you saying again?
He said, Bob said, where are we? Benihanas?
Why is that? I missed
train
that.
whistles and things like that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, you never know. You never know where you might find us. We're
I like Benihanas.
town. So
does Benihanas even still exist?
What's that?
Does that even still exist?
Benihana?
Yeah.
There was up until, I don't think it's there anymore, but up until a few years ago, there was one in right where Irvine and Newport Beach come together, right at John Wayne Airport. There was one forever. That was the business people's spot in when you were staying in hotels by John Wayne Airport. So, but yeah, I don't know. But there's no shortage of those Teppan places.
No.
So, talk about digressing just as we're getting started, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get back into tariffs.
Let's tariff. It's exactly what we need, right? Hey, you know what? I've got a little bit of a hiccup going here. I've got a monitor that's going in and out. So I'm just going to do the most unprofessional thing here and do a big pivot and shift monitors and camera. So, of course, now the other one pops back in perfectly. But let's roll into our show and maybe help provide people with some value for the time that they're giving us today. I'm Kevin Brown. I'm here with my lifelong friend and business partner, Tom Burton. We get together every week on our show, Around the Horn at Wholesale Distribution and Manufacturing. We talk about the news of the week that's happening in supply chain, in AI, and mergers and acquisitions, in the economy, tariffs. It seems like we can't get away from. We're going to talk about more today. Sales and marketing, robotics, technology, and what's happening in the world and how that all relates back to wholesale distribution and manufacturing. We've been doing this now for 196 episodes. So we're about a month, with a couple of shows that I know we're taking off probably a month and a half away from the 200th episode. We got some exciting stuff coming with that. The guests are coming together. We got a little work I need to do with you on that still. In fact, I should talk to you about it today a little bit, Tom, but that's going to be an exciting event. I think the statistics are somewhere out there that 90% of podcasts that launch don't get past 10. So getting to 200, I guess, is a pretty good milestone.
There's an article I read that this year, 500,000 new podcasts have started, right? And pretty much all of them will not exist in 2 or 3 months, right? There might be new ones, right, that are coming through all the way, but that's a lot of podcasts.
It's astounding, but I guess that would tell you why so few get past 10 episodes. I mean, there was an announcement probably 6 months ago about a big organization that relates to the same market we serve was starting a new one. And I think I thought they were doing it multiple times a month, and I've only seen them post 2. So in like 6 months. So it's just hard. But anyways, here we are. So I don't know if we're doing the right thing or if we're just a bunch of knuckleheads here, but we'll keep giving it a try, and we're going to keep showing up as long as our guests are willing to come and our audience is willing to show up. And I just see our good friend Dan Judge popping in. So Dan, great to have you with us. Dan, are you back up in Lockport, New York area for the summer, or are you still in Florida? I'm hoping you're in Lockport. So love having Dan with us, from founder of Net Plus Alliance. So good friends of ours there. But anyways, we do this every week. as we say, unless someone's on an airplane, in a hospital, or on a planned vacation, we will be missing a show in August because I'm taking a couple of days off after a business trip and going to put my feet in the sand for a couple of days. So we'll miss one of those. But in general, we're here. And we do that by means of our live show here that we are on LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live, and Facebook Live. And later in the day, our editor and producer, John, will put all of that information into Apple and Spotify and Odyssey and all of the other podcast platforms. If you're listening in on the recorded podcast, you won't be seeing the newsletter that Tom and I are going to be looking at and referring to today. That newsletter, again, is called Around the Horn and Wholesale Distribution. It goes out to, I guess we're somewhere between 12 and 13,000 people now. And that list continues to grow. And that newsletter, again, goes out on early Friday mornings. And to typically, I think we're in 7 or 8 different countries, people get that newsletter in as well. We would love to send it to you. So if you don't get it and you would like to, simple way to get it is if you're on LinkedIn consistently, just search for Around the Horn and Wholesale Distribution Podcast, or go to the LeadSmart Technologies page and you'll see it on the far left column. It'll say newsletter. You can connect to it there. If you would like, send us an email at hello@leadsmarttech.com. And we can get that out to you right away. And we also have a website for the podcast, and that's www.aroundthehornpod.com. And we will get that to you right away. We couldn't do our show every week. We couldn't support the people that are on the front end or the back end of it if we didn't have the sponsorship of the company that Tom and I both work for, LeadSmart Technologies. LeadSmart has developed what we refer to as a enterprise growth platform. And an enterprise growth platform is a tool that gives wholesale distributors and manufacturers an opportunity to use what we call our Data 360 hub and bring connected data from across their business, marketing automation, e-commerce, ERP data, data that's in a data warehouse, processes and different things like that that you use in your business. Bring that into a single unified platform where we have tools for sales enablement, for CRM, for marketing, for quote management, and all kinds of different tools that are available to that. Where now we're bringing unified data from across your organization and we apply AI to that. So we reduce the amount of silos that you have within your business. We put you in a position where you can get deep insights into your customers, your teams, and your overall business rather than having siloed data across your business. So if your company's looking to digitally transform, expand using artificial intelligence as well within your business, we would love to talk to you. So Tom, what did I miss there? Anything?
I think everybody is well informed.
Let's see if they still feel that way when we're done.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's happening in the news today? We got corn inflation up 3.4% in May, highest since 2023.
But right in line with expectations.
Yes.
So that was what was expected. Most of that, no shock coming from energy costs and so forth. It'd be interesting to see. Oil is way down, right? I think oil is down below what it was when the war started, if I'm not mistaken, or close to it. That's there. It'll be interesting to see how fast, whether this was the May one, June won't impact. I guess July would probably be the first time we'd really see any change in the readings here that are here. So that's still a couple months away before we would see that, because no, we don't have real time data. Nobody seemed to really freak out about it. It was kind of what was expected. Still obviously much higher than the 2% that they all want, but not completely out of line.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that we're going to see with this, though, is this article was even talking about that there's more to this than just oil. And, the president has promised over and over again how fast this is going to turn around and the economy is going to be wonderful. I think we're in a position where it could take it a little bit longer to actually happen than the president is really thinking it might or promising that it might. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's how fast are the oil companies and everybody else, right? It's you kind of skyrocket straight up and then you kind of feather your way back down,
right?
So how and then I think a lot of other companies that quote unquote maybe had the side effect of that have raised prices, whether that's through freight or just overall costs of things. So the question is, what is the time for that? Even if the cost savings, how long does it take for those savings to percolate through the system? And if they do percolate through the system, do prices really change all that much as far as, going back down?
Really good point. We
I don't know.
tie that so quickly to what we see at the gas pump, right? It's going to be great because you're getting an EV soon, right? Should we tell everybody you're getting a Tesla?
No, you have a job to do before I go get a Tesla. That job is not finished, and until that job is finished, then we're not going to talk about it.
All right. So Tom and I are both looking closely at EVs right now, and which is pretty fun.
Kevin has a sales target that he has to achieve for me to get my EV. So it's all dependent upon you.
Tom needs a bonus before he's going to go buy a car.
Right. Try.
You know what I did? Just as a side note, I have a deposit on an EV. I'm the risk taker, right? What's my role in this company?
Yeah.
I'm the
your
guy
role
who
is to spend. Your role is to spend, and
my
role is.
I'm betting on myself, right?
Okay.
I'm betting on myself. That's all I'm doing. So back to what matters. I think we look so closely and clearly, Tom, at what's happening at the gas pump. We've talked a little bit on the show before with the issues with the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. But we've chatted about this, but what we don't think about is that long-term impact that's going to come from this, from the fertilizers, from the helium, from the other, even some rare earths that are coming from that area. One, have been delayed. Two, prices are through the roof. Farmers' crops are different this year based upon the lack of fertilizer that was there. And then the other thing we don't think about is our world is full of plastic. And to make plastic, we need petroleum products. So think about I don't know if you've ever been, I've been many times into injection molding plastics or rotational molding plastic factories. And they literally have rail cars of little tiny beads that are made from natural gas and from petroleum products. So think about the trickle down effect of a series of months of higher prices of fuel prices, and the little things that are going to come out, the Legos that are going to be made from that, and the widgets that are going to be made from that, months and months down, we're going to see those impacts for a while.
So do we make these plastics here in the U.S.?
Tons and tons of them.
Okay. So are we really impacted though by the Strait of Hormuz and the supply chain in that part of the world?
Unless we're using U.S. oil for that, and there's a mix of where those, obviously I'm sure we get dramatically more plastics in this country from China and other parts of the world than we make here, but there's huge industries of that here. Think about just serving the automotive industry in the north central part of the country. But I think the idea, and let's see, I would love nothing more than to see inflation at 2.5% and rates getting cut and gas prices down real low and energy prices lower. I'd love nothing more than to see that. But I don't have a confidence in this administration's comment that says, hey, we get the Strait of Hormuz open, and we're going to talk about that. There's crazy risks at the Strait of Hormuz still, as well with all of that, right? So I don't know that we're going to get that snapback that's been described.
No, I don't think it's going to be a V-shaped recovery, as they say, right? But like I said, it'll be interesting to see if we start to see any sort of change over the next couple months.
Yeah. Yep. Bob thinks you should get a hybrid, Tom.
Hybrids are a good option. It's a good option.
Just a few of them, and they're either ridiculously priced or ugly.
Yeah, the Acura, I think, has a hybrid that is pretty cool looking.
Oh, there you go. You gonna look into it?
No, I don't know. I'm still, but I told you I'd get a Tesla. I've told everybody. I've promised all kinds of people I'm going to get a Tesla. So
it's on my shoulders.
Yeah, I better just So all you.
You told my wife at dinner.
No, I know. Okay. So I hope she's putting pressure on you too.
For your Tesla.
For my Tesla, yeah.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Well, I might have to give her a call and have her put a little pressure on.
She's a little busy, which is why I'm in our offices today versus my home office, because there's two different contractors working on our home today, and she's in her in her glory, pointing around what needs to be done, and are they doing the construction?
Okay.
So, anyways, so what's happening with tariffs? We got to get back past the. You know what? Let's do this real quick. We've got an article down there about. Let's jump to tariffs after we finish. We were talking about Strait of Hormuz, right? Iran's been rumbling this week that you've got to clear your shipments coming through the Iranian National Guard or Republican Guard, right? Haven't heard the president's response to that yet, but this does not look like the rumblings that we're seeing and what's really happening. There was actually I think we have it in one of these articles that there was a ship that was say from the Philippines that had a drone hit it that is being attributed to the Revolutionary Guard there as well. And so this just seems super volatile to me. I don't know what your takeaway is, but they say it's open. I looked at AIS, the shipping tracker this morning, and every ship that I could see was moving at a consistent speed. So there's things happening there, but it does not seem like the Iranians and the Iranian government and the Iranian Republican Guard they're different. So I'm not sure how you can control both of those, and it doesn't seem like the Republican Guard is abiding by the same rules that they were discussing in Switzerland last weekend about what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah, look, there's going to be, I think, all kinds of rogue sort of activity occurring along through here.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is there's all this conversation about charging tolls to get through. I guess that's illegal per a lot of international law. I was reading that, this is international waters and there is no legality for charging tolls along the way. It doesn't mean that they're not going to attempt it. So no, I don't believe this is, all done and, the road is cleared and the highway is moving. I think there's all kinds of different sort of risks that are going to continue to exist in this area, and it's going to slow. It's not going to be, 90 miles an hour down the 405 for this. So at any given day, I think it could change one way or the other.
Yeah. Well, I think it was going to remain extremely volatile. Frankly, I hate to say this, but I would be surprised if we don't see it closed multiple times again before all this is done. And
well, it's been the only leverage, right? It's the leverage point of this entire, war. And I agree. Iran does not have a single leadership structure, right? And so within the country, they've got a lot of dissension on what's going on here. It's a little chaotic to think the list. So I don't. It's not going to be necessarily straightforward.
Yeah. Well, and the challenge or my concern with that is, as the president keeps saying, we're just going to go blow them up and bomb them and bomb them and bomb them. And I don't, that's sad because that seems to be the only thing that is making a change or making anything move ahead, or the risk of that. But the human toll and the economic toll and all of the toll that comes with more bombing is horrible. So, but I don't know what's going to get this to get solved, but there's a whole lot of risk for this president, this administration right now. And approval ratings have never been lower. So it's like either cut a deal that maybe isn't the optimal deal or send the bombs and the troops.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to send any bomb and troops, but even this MOU is loose, to say the least, right? It's not. It's more or less, here's some ideas, right, that we can maybe agree around, but there's nothing firm. There's nothing, and again, because of the things we just talked about, right, things are changing by the day. So I think that the situation is still volatile. The fact that oil has dropped to the degree that it has, eventually, I don't really fully understand that, right? I don't understand the speed of that drop, and unless they figure there's going to be enough oil coming through that at least some of the shortages are, and in the US, right, we never really had the shortage. We just had the price increase based on the spot price of the international market. So
yeah, yep. All right, well, let's roll into our tariff discussion that we've had over and over and over again. The first one article here from Yahoo Finance talks about FedEx to send tariff refunds to customers starting in August. We've talked about this quite a few times, but now we're seeing it actually come to fruition. UPS has said that as soon as they get their money, and the UPS doesn't have any of their money yet, which is odd that FedEx would and UPS doesn't. Kind of surprised me with that. But it seems like at least some people are going to start getting some money back.
Well, people have been getting money back, right? They've been getting money back
from shippers from FedEx.
Yeah, from shippers. Yeah. What's interesting in that article is it's talking a lot about the infrastructure that FedEx is having to create in order to support this.
Yep.
And you can log onto a portal, I guess, and see what the status is of your refund and any interest that you've earned and all of that. So now it's been forcing FedEx to invest in a infrastructure. I'm sure there's tons of cost and unless they vibe coded it, I guess, for cheap. But anyway, it's at least they're starting the process. I'm waiting for Costco to start theirs.
Yeah. Well, 800 million is the tariff refunds that FedEx is slated to be returned to return to customers. They reported that in their Q4 earnings report. And then 20 million entries that recap for me here said that individual shipping entries, FedEx is currently managing to process these duties, but they're prioritizing to shippers who have allowed them to share their shipping data back with them as well. And then they've got very specific partners that they've initiated this with as well. So it sure looks complex. It sure looks a challenge. But this is going to be large businesses that are done the shipments. It's not going to be, Judy's Amazon business that she ships direct from and uses FedEx. It's going to be prioritized for the big guys. And it's probably not going to trickle down to the next level, right? Which is what we would like to see, and what you were, I think, were alluding to in your comment about Costco is, Costco getting their 200 million that they asked for in a lawsuit. Is do they get that back, and how does Tom get that back from his rotisserie chicken and Sauvignon Blanc?
Yeah, well, it should be coming in my rebate. So
let me know.
Yeah,
we'll watch for that. So, but back to the tariff side of things, and I think this it triggers nicely for us to what Treasury Secretary Bessent has said. He said this is a Yahoo Finance and article, and he talks about tariffs will snap back to exactly where they were before the Supreme Court's IEEPA ruling. And we've talked about that a number of times over the course of the months of tariffs. Is that, and I think this ties really well to the European Union, and they further ratified this week. The European Union did. There now, it's not even tariffs; it's just a trade deal that they have that gets us the same as those tariffs. I think the betting person, right, has looked at this and said, this administration is not going to stop or slow down on tariffs. So if that's where their focus is, they're going to find a way around it. And what Bessent is saying is, well, now we're using these Section 301 tariffs that are in there. They're working. And he's basically saying we're going to get back to where we were before.
Yeah, and this was something that was mentioned in here. Is that what he said is that these tariffs are not designed to be permanent penalties, but as leverage to bring manufacturing back to American soil. Mm-hmm. He compared tariffs to a shrinking ice cube, explaining that international companies that move production outside the U.S., tariff net revenues will naturally decline, while domestic corporate income taxes and payroll revenues increase. So, I think that's a nice idea. Maybe it's happening to some degree. There's also quite a few countries supposedly that are still having active conversations and negotiations along those lines. So, but yeah, there's tariffs still being collected, There's issues still, I think, again with China again, and some which we haven't heard a lot about. There's been a lot of, I guess,
Right.
rhetoric back and forth on
Yep.
some increases on the Chinese side and all that, and so, but that hasn't really hit the news very much.
Well, we're 5 months away from the midterm elections, right? And if you think about it from that standpoint, you've got, this president has said fentanyl, borders, fair trade, reshoring manufacturing, and more better paying jobs. What did I miss? Is the focus on that?
Lower cost of living.
Yeah. So we're not seeing too much of that yet. I think the tariff thing is the one thing I think that is, and I've really felt this all along, that this is going to work out. There's going to be that balanced. Let me rephrase it and say the closest we've ever been to balanced trade is probably coming in this setting. Maybe not say ever been, but in recent history, I think should come from this.
I think there's progress, for sure. I don't know that we could go so far as to say balanced trade, but I think there is some progress.
Well,
and there's more than anything is awareness, right? There was never really any awareness before.
Yeah,
it was just this is the way it was, right? And we all just bought our Amazon stuff through China, and no one thought much about it. I mean, now there's definitely more awareness about. I don't know about you, but I know from us when we buy stuff through Amazon, we're actually looking to see, well, where is this made? Is this a Chinese import, or when we buy anything online, it doesn't mean we're not going to buy it. It's just being aware.
Talk about that further. Unpack that a little bit more. What is the reasoning behind that, and what are you looking to achieve through that?
Well, if you look at we as a country, right, let the trade imbalance in China get, basically the.
Oh, you were referencing the country. I was thinking about you and Lauren when you buy things at Costco or whatever.
Oh, we do. No,
you do.
but
Okay.
we do. Right. So if we look on Amazon and we're buying something, or online, or I guess you could. I haven't really looked at Costco, but I guess you could. Is this a product that has been manufactured in China?
Okay.
And again, it doesn't mean we're not going to buy it, but we might look for an alternative, or at least there's an awareness of it that's there, right? Because as a country that we let this, that's what we basically created this situation.
Of course,
right?
We want low cost goods,
right? And we never really thought about it. Well, who cares that it came from China, right? It's just
we never paid attention because we assumed it was, and so often I think.
So guess what?
We assumed it was coming from China.
Sure, but we didn't think it was an issue, right? We never really thought of fair trade as. Okay. I mean, I don't know about you, but it wasn't a discussion in our house as, well, that's not fair trade. We didn't, we weren't, because we weren't aware of the trade imbalance that's there.
Right.
As you become more aware of the trade imbalance as a country, which we are, way more so than we were, 2 years ago. Again, what the outcome of that will be, I don't know, but at least there's an awareness that didn't exist a couple of years ago.
Yeah. So what are you? So you're getting ready to buy something for your kitchen, right? An appliance. So you're looking at it before you buy it to look at its country of origin. And then do you go search 3 or 4 more that are different prices and say, well, this one's made in Malaysia and that one's made in Panama, and come to a conclusion?
Or the US, yeah. I mean, obviously depending upon the product, right? So it's not a, one size fits all situation. I know there's some cases where we just kind of looked at it and just said, do we really need this? And then we just didn't buy it, right?
Okay. That's great.
So, well, I assume that if we're doing this, others are too, to some degree, right?
Hadn't even crossed my mind.
Oh, really?
No, because but I think I'd say it's probably a really good idea. Maybe people should be doing more of it. I guess that the part of what goes through my mind related is there's so few alternatives, in so many things. And we just had that discussion this morning. We got all this work being done on our house, and Darlene wants to put some on the slope behind our house that's landscaped. She wants to put some solar lights up there that point up at the trees and some of the growth that she's worked on with the gardener there. And the gardener came back and he's got these like $100 lights, $100 each, and we want to put like probably 8 or 10 of them up there. And I was like, well, how often are we going to entertain in the backyard? 5 to 7 times a year where we have large groups over and we care, and another 5 times that we're really going to care about them. And so why don't we start with the low cost ones? And in my mind, I didn't even think twice, but those are obviously going to come from China.
Probably, yeah.
Right, the $30 light, solar lights for the yard or the garden are going to be much, no question about where they're coming from, right? But I didn't even, to your point, I didn't even think about that, right? The idea of like, okay, well, we should look at that. I guess it's the good news for Costco or for Amazon when you're doing that is you're spending a whole lot more time on their site, so you're helping their e-commerce metrics go up with times on the site because yeah.
So, I mean, you're seeing more and more products advertised that are made in the U.S., right? They're really spotlighting that,
yes,
right?
of course,
and spotlighting those types of things.
Yep.
And I do believe, to a certain degree, that is a competitive advantage or builds goodwill with the majority of consumers.
So
there. But,
so what do you think that the chances are that we get to a place? Bob made a nice comment there. These sound like first world financial decisions, and Bob could not be more correct, right? We were talking about you buying a Tesla. It's like, okay, that's, we're not talking about, are we eating this weekend and is there food on the table and can we pay our electric bill, which, there are people in that dire straits from what's going on with the economy right now as well. So good point, Bob. I appreciate that. But back to the tariff component of things is, it'll be really interesting to see when we're probably going to be somewhere around the 230th show or something like that will be my guess. If we look back and we see how many trade deals have been struck that just allow the tariff component to go away, right? And in theory, right, you could be seeing, this is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but maybe not. You could be seeing here, Tom, a playbook for the future, for future presidents that say, hey, you know what, we have a 10-year trade deal with the EU for this amount of now it's just taxes basically on that, as opposed to having a true tariff on it. And but we could come out of this with a multi-year trade deal with China, a multi-year trade deal with Japan, the EU, other parts of Southeast Asia, Canada and Mexico become critical, other parts of Latin America, and obviously the looking at that most particularly with India as well. You can come out of this with trade deals that you don't need the tariffs, but a new playbook that says if somebody doesn't want to play ball on the extending their trade agreement, 3 years, 5 years, 12 years, whatever it might be, they don't want to play ball on that they just come back very quickly and say, well, you know what, we know that IEPA is probably not going to work in this, but we got Section 201, Section 301, and they worked in 2025, 26. So that's that playbook we just use moving forward.
Yeah, and even a lot of the agreements have tariffs associated with them. Right, I think even the European one has a 15% tariff. So,
well, it's not a tariff at that point; it's a tax on goods. That's
right, but it's a negotiated amount. It's a negotiated amount.
But the point is, because of the fact that when you work on this with the mindset of it, Section 301, right, that has a limited time caps component to it. The other ones, some have to be approved by Congress.
Yes.
That's what I'm pointing out is that the playbook is play ball on a trade deal, because we proved in 2026 that this is our playbook and it works in our courts and it works in these other settings. So play ball, let's get a good trade deal in place for balanced trade. And then if you don't want to do that, then we will just go back to our playbook and we'll go straight back to putting these back in place.
Sure.
So, well, let's see. I mean, Besson says, right, our Treasury Secretary says he used the term snapback, right, to back where we were before the
Yep.
Supreme Court,
Yep.
which is interesting. If you think about all of this, is we're getting right back to the same place. We're getting those dollars flowing back in. We spent boatloads of time and resources and bandwidth on this show talking about the Supreme Court and all of this. The upside of it is the system worked, right? Going through the courts and using the courts for the right things, the system worked in that setting.
Yeah, it's just been a lot of, I mean, just look at all the extra cost and uncertainty and trial and tribulation along the way. It's been a pretty disruptive process.
Yep. Yep.
So, all right, enough of this. Where do you want to go now?
Why don't we roll into our supply chain news there? We just had a couple articles about cutting tool orders and a few different things that we had in the economy related to distribution in general. But I thought this was an interesting article as well, talking about that the supply chain uncertainty now is higher than the COVID-19 pandemic era. So, if you think about now the last, I guess the 2020s, you'll call them we're back to the roaring 20s, and is been just gutted with supply chain issues, right? We went through the challenges of that with COVID and so forth. And now what we're seeing with, whether it's the Strait of Hormuz or the Suez Canal, Panama Canal issues that we had last year, all of those things. And there's an article that we have later on here about the Strait of Hormuz closure, and the issue that it's had on U.S. ports has just been hammered, right? So we went through this with tariffs, people ordering huge amounts in the supply chain world, right, to beat the tariffs and having those landed in the U.S. Then the same thing started with oil. And then boom, we've hit this shock of nothing coming in comparison because of the port or of the Strait of Hormuz issues. So we've got a really interesting and super volatile issue going on with not just our ports, but in general, the overall supply chain. And it's pretty scary from that standpoint of how this is looking at it. It's just as bad. This uncertainty of it is basically as bad or worse than when we had the issues of literally ports around the world completely closing because COVID.
Sure, but on the flip side of that, do you think that companies are much more better prepared than they were before COVID?
I
Right.
don't.
I mean, again, it seems like just what I was just saying before. I mean, more than awareness, right? The supply chain conversation seems to be much, much more critical and much more strategic in businesses than it was probably, back and before COVID that's there. So obviously maybe not all businesses have improved, but I would suspect there's a lot of improvement with using technology and AI and other things and just dealing with it, right? Confronting and dealing with the situation.
I would argue that there's an awareness, Tom. I don't know that there's anything really beyond that. Now, are people working on having much better? Are they managing it closer and faster and more consistently? I mean, I remember literally a conversation that we had. I think it might have even been late 2024. Funny, I was talking to this gentleman earlier this week, Mike Mortensen from ARG, Alaska Rubber Group. Mike and I were talking, and he was on our show, and he talked about it. I think he said, and I want to say this might have been either early 2025 or is probably when it was. But Mike said that they were going from checking in with suppliers, key suppliers. They were having regular conversations with monthly or quarterly. That now they were down to talking to them weekly about supply chain issues. So I think the awareness has risen. There's probably some really good software tools that people are using to kind of analyze supply chain a little bit better, whether they're third party or they built some in-house maybe tools. But you can't control what's going on. You can't stop. You can't control or plan for a port strike too well, right? You can't control what's going to happen at the Suez Canal. You can look to it a little bit and maybe pre-buy. So I would suggest, and I would love it if somebody that truly is managing a supply chain themselves versus pundits, so to speak here. My guess is the awareness is much higher. They're trying to put some systems in place, but does anybody have it really figured out or nailed? No way.
Okay.
I just can't. I mean, I've spent my entire.
First of all, I mean, no one's ever going to have 100% figured out.
No.
The question is, is
they
it
better?
more figured out? Is it better than it was before COVID, and more figured out and more under control on a regular basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's definitely some companies that are better, much better off than they were prior to COVID.
So let me restate things in case I wasn't clear. Are they better? Yes. Is it dramatically better? No, because I don't believe they can. There's not enough that can be controlled, right? Are you managing your inventories better? I've got actually a call later today with a startup company that reached out wanting to talk a little bit, that is, working on better demand planning and buying better and so forth. Are we better at that? Yeah, we're better at that. I would say distributors in particular are better at that. But have they solved the issue? And to your point, forget about 100%. Have they got to 70%, 60%? I don't think so, because there's too many variables. They're just better on managing it and understanding things better. And a lot of that is tied to technology, and they've been forced into it.
Yep.
Which is good. I mean, you could look back and say, hey, did the COVID era and and this Iran war and so forth, did that make us better? Absolutely. Did it make them great? Some, but probably not the average guy. Good.
Well, they say that doesn't kill you, make you stronger. So.
Yeah, I've heard that way too much. So I must be really strong.
Yeah.
All right. Want to roll ahead a little bit here?
Yeah, I don't. Is there anything that you want to focus on here in the manufacturing section?
No.
I think we've hit a lot of the stuff kind of one way or the other.
Yeah, we talked about quite a few of that already. There's just interesting. There is, by the way, just as a side note, we, forever up until last week in our newsletter, for 196 of them, we've mixed this economy and supply chain together. And now we split those out. And so now you are going to become a supply chain expert, because we're going to have a whole section. You're going to be paying attention to freight rates on 20-foot and 40-foot containers. And you're going to be noticing as you drive down the road now what size containers next to you on that semi, and where did it come from, and which shipping line is doing what. And looking forward to you being that supply chain guy soon.
Yeah, you just keep looking forward to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you've turned me into a vibe coder, so why can't I turn you into a supply chain guy?
Okay, fair enough.
Fair trade.
Yeah.
Good. So, anyways, truckload rates keep rising was one of the components. This is from truckinginfo.com, and truckload rates keep rising as tight capacity.
Where are you looking?
I was looking at the article about.
Oh, you're still in the previous section. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You had moved ahead to manufacturing.
I'm sorry. I didn't put it on the screen either, so you didn't know I was moving ahead to manufacturing.
It's pretty funny because I'm always trying to get you to go full screen or focus on the guests that we have in single screen and have less of the newsletter up. And then I needed you to have the newsletter up this time. Yeah. I think there's nothing, and there's a few things about M&A in our manufacturing, distribution, and M&A section in there. Anything that you triggered on you want to chat about?
So it looks like, I don't know if this is breaking news, but Trump just said he would impose a 100% tariff on EU countries that impose a digital services tax.
You said that it was threatening that last year. Did you just have the news up or something?
No, Bob just sent this through. I don't know if this is hot off the press or not.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was
how would that get around their agreement? We have an agreement with the EU. Unless digital services are not on that agreement.
I would assume that those are on physical goods.
Right.
So why don't you ask Gemini or Claude or somebody real quick? But that's my clear assumption on that. There was rumor about that last week. I don't know if it was clearly that he said. He might have reiterated it today. Could be the key to that. But yeah, I mean, there is. Well, I mean, look, if you think about even digital marketing, right? With GDPR and the stuff that the EU has done consistently is they are focused on protecting the residents of those countries from I'll call it digital damage. How's that?
And what would be an example of digital damage?
Well, their GDPR is the good thing to start with, right?
Okay.
The scamming and so forth. And then what's being done with their data from a standpoint of whether it's a Google or a Meta or whoever it might be. And that's what they're trying to put all different types of controls on. And now they want to put all kinds of taxes in to go along with that as well on, I believe it's on consumption and what those companies are doing in those countries and ad revenues and so forth. And this president has received boatloads of money from the people that impact, right? I mean, I just, one of the podcasts that you and I both enjoyed listening to, the All In podcast, they have, well, I remember looking at a White House dinner that was hosted for technology executives, and there was CEO of Microsoft, CEO of Google, Mark Zuckerberg from Meta, Tim Cook from Apple, and 4 or 5 other very high powered, and David Sachs obviously was there. That's a Silicon Valley investor and billionaire who was, up until recently, he was the AI and cryptocurrency czar for Trump administration. He was there. Jamal Palihapitiya, was one of the early stage guys at Meta, was there as well. And a round table of probably 10 billionaires that are driving technology, right? Basically the Mag 7, so to speak, as the Wall Street calls them, all sitting around a table for dinner with the president and his wife, and they don't want to have the taxes on what they're doing in the EU, right? And they're writing checks.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So it says digital service taxes typically target gross revenues from specific digital activities such as online advertising, digital marketplaces or platforms, or data transmission, selling user data collected from digital activities. Anyway, I don't know enough about it to speak super intelligently about it, but
yeah, well, that's what you kind of I was trying to say something similar to that about their data taxes and their activities, their ad revenue, I think was a significant component of that as well. So I did want to kind of jump ahead, Tom, and I just we have 2 articles in there. Can't remember if we're in the same section there still that you just jumped into. There's a couple articles here about Lowe's, and so as we kind of look at getting started on this, I don't know if you got a close look at that, but there was one from HBS dealer, and the other one was from Marketing Diet. But they were both talking about some of the things that Lowe's is doing with both consumers and contractors. And I think, as we look at HD Supply and the HD Supply and Lowe's here, right? We quickly think about them as consumer-oriented organizations, right? It's where the home gardener and the guy that wants to build a new fence or whatever it is goes to get all his goods. But the growth on that side for them with their professional side is growing. They're really focused on the growth there. But this is a good example, and I think we've talked about this a lot, and I want to continue to push this point home to our audience is, if you're a wholesale distributor in particular, now is just, last year was the time to start, and now could not be a better time to be really looking at that. I think we've had that blurring gray line between B2B and B2C, but the B2C experience is becoming more and more the expectation of the B2B buyer. So whether that's an Amazon business purchase or it's a contractor that is buying at Home Depot and has great discounts there, but he also is buying from the B2B building materials, and I'll just use a simple example, right? I can't remember how many linear feet we have. Our home's on 10,000 square foot lot. We just did both sides of our house with all new wood fencing, redwood fencing, all new fascia around our house.
You put redwood fencing around that house?
Yep. So the
holy crap.
Yep. So the it's got to last.
That's expensive. Are they going to just stain it?
No, it's paint based. It's being sealed and painted. So
you're going to paint the redwood.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
why did you use redwood if you're going to paint it?
Lasting timelines. We have a 20-year guarantee on it all. So
okay.
I won't be living in that house when that fence needs to be redone. The point being is we think about lumber, right?
Yeah.
The fence guy nor the roofing guy that did all of our fascia did not have. I think that the roof guy that had lumber delivered from a lumber yard, and the other guy got lumber from Home Depot. So, but both of those contractors guarantee you have accounts at Home Depot, and they have accounts at Ganal Lumber. That's a great lumber yard right. Now think about that. If you're Ganal Lumber, and I think this is a good example here in Southern California, very large lumber company. They are doing a great job of they're not a lumber yard anymore. There's a walk-in showroom there now with doors and hardware and all of those things. My point here being is you've got the B2B experience and a B2C experience, and a B2C experience has always been higher touch, more exposure, and a different feel and look to it all. And we have to be thinking in the B2B world, whether you're an electrical distributor. We have tons and tons of customers at LeadSmart that are plumbing or electrical distributors that have showrooms. They're seeing that value of bringing that experience level high, but it also ties into when are my shipments coming, and how does that compare to when I buy something from Amazon Business, whatever it is. You could be a janitorial distributor, and you need to be something close to how quickly can you get toilet paper, paper towels, and mop buckets to an industrial facility, because they can get it with their Amazon Prime account, right? And I just think that's something we've got to be looking very closely at.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my rant about that we need to continue to focus on. So take us away. Where are we going next? You want to start talking about some technology and so forth?
Yeah, I'm kind of done with manufacturing and supply chain and building supplies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is enough. Our AI and news section is a little lean this week, but
how many articles do you want there every week? I'll work on it.
Well, but look, there's only 3 articles here, and then look at all of these articles here for supply chain and manufacturing.
So you want to talk more about AI?
Well, maybe we should.
Our audience, we have people right now getting ready to start commenting that they don't want to talk about AI. They want to talk about customer experience. I can see it. It's coming. All right. So you want 5 each week? How many do you want?
No, I don't know. It's quality over quantity, right? So
why don't you send me some of them that you would like? I'm sure people love hearing us argue about what's in the newsletter.
Yeah.
What a high quality show you produce.
I will actually send you some. Actually, I get
I think it'd be great.
Newsletter. Yeah,
that'd be great.
So,
you know what? Maybe we could do, Tom. Maybe we could do like a second newsletter a couple of times a month that is all AI technology and so forth.
Okay. We could look at that. So let's talk about this first one here with our friend Alex. Yeah. So I guess he was speaking at. Is this article? I think right from the meeting.
I missed this event this year. It's historically one we go to. Our friends Jonathan Bine and Ian Heller at the Distribution Strategy put on a great event. They call it Applied AI. And Mark Brohan, good friend of ours, who's been on the show multiple times, is working with them now full time. And Mark looks like he was pumping out articles from the event. So, but Alex, who's been on the show with us multiple times, as soon as we nail down and finalize the date of our 200th show, he's wanting to join us as long as he's available. By the way, the the guest list is coming along well. They just all want to know the final date, Tom. So we need to button that up.
Man, that's asking for a lot for the date, isn't it?
Yeah, sound like these people are busy.
Yeah. Just be ready. We'll be just in time.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna plan our show just like a distributor does inventory.
Yeah.
So good. So Alex.
So what were the key points? What were the key things that?
Well, it was interesting, and I had dinner with Alex in Cleveland in, I think it was April, and just such an interesting guy. He's just one of our great guests that we've had on the show, and he's not an economist, but he fires out statistics like he's an economist, and as he's looking at these things. So he was talking a lot about two components in looking at wholesale distribution and manufacturing. One was the idea of data centers and the big boom that is to just about every type of distributor out there. I mean, if you stop and think about, right, you got your construction supply companies, you've got your building materials companies, you got plumbing, electrical, HVAC, industrial, janitorial. They're all being touched by these things. Now, when you think about it, I mean, there's an announcement later on in the newsletter here about one of our customers, and they're ramping up even more. That we'll kind of talk about that before we go. But we've got distributors left and right, specifically in the HVAC, plumbing, and electrical space, that are really scaling up for all of the data centers. So Alex was talking about the boon that could be for the distributor that's well structured and well organized. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time kind of talking about this article, because it may wind us out of getting to too many more, because there's so many things unpacked. So there's that component, but then he was also talking in the article here, and I want to try and do a phone call with him to get a little more of his feedback on it, but talking about the use of AI, right? Because all roads here tied back to being at an AI event, and the use of AI in wholesale distribution manufacturing. The two things I think we can unpack in this discussion is the data center component, and then what is really going on with distributors and how successful are they being adopting AI and getting, not just adopting, but getting returns. So those are my two thoughts I want to talk about with you.
Okay. So let's talk about data centers first.
Go ahead.
So was one of the things that he brought up, I know you had mentioned, maybe you had mentioned this and not him, is there a risk investing so much in the data center proliferation, in the sense that there's some pullback on the number of them that are being created, or
so I brought that up.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that just so you can fire bombs at me, okay? Because
I can debate that. Yes,
I can see the look on your face, for those of you who are listening versus watching. Tom, I've known Tom for 56 years, I guess it is, and which I just not even imagine. I don't want to be 56 years old, let alone having known you for 56 years. Tom and I have been friends since kindergarten. Our new marketing director she just thinks that's the best thing in the world for a marketing department to play off of. I'm like, who cares? I was telling somebody the other day what I was telling you a while back. I said, when we both retire, I don't ever want to talk to you again. And then my wife says, until you guys start another company. So but I can tell on the look on your face when you're ready, when you see red meat in front of you. All I was saying in our pre-show discussion was that I had been reading or listening to other side of the other side of the argument, was that you have a whole group of politicians who want to either stall or stop data centers being built. You have a lot of people that are saying, not in my backyard. We have a LinkedIn user, so we don't see who it is, just made a comment. They says, got to jump, but I bought some Tesla stock with all this buying a Tesla stock. By the way, I'm looking at buying not a Tesla, but a Rivian. In fact, it's funny, I haven't made the final decision, but I did put a deposit on one, because you're looking at the inventory online. I've been working with
Is Rivian a public company?
Rivian is, I don't know.
Because I know they've been having some trouble. They've been laying off. There's
Well,
been some issues with them.
they did an AI layoff, right? Just like everybody else. They right-sized. They right-sized.
Okay.
Right? They called it AI. I don't. Hey, Alexa, is Rivian a public company?
Yes, Rivian Automotive is a public company trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker
Riven. Ticker Riven.
Okay.
So
All right.
the funny thing is I just have been working with this advisor, haven't made a decision, looking at another car, have to sell the current car. Don't think I'm going to trade it in, but they found one at the right numbers within their system. So he texted me yesterday. He goes, look, their deposits are supposed to be non-refundable, but I talked to the manager, just put the deposit down. And if you don't, because I'm going to pick one up tonight and drive it till tomorrow. And which is great, right? I pick it up at 5 and I have it back, I think, at 11 tomorrow. And so I put the deposit down, and I just got a text during the show that my pickup appointment for it is on June 30th in Costa Mesa.
Okay.
I don't have to go get it, but it's there on the middle of the week if I want to go get it, which is pretty funny. But back to the data center component, right? So if we've got people saying, and Bob made a comment here, that in Texas is now requiring data centers to bring their own power and water if they want to build, right? There is a lot of discussion that the infrastructure, the impact that it can have on existing infrastructure with power costs going up, water needs, and so forth. All of those have pretty much been debunked by the data center providers, right? Recirculating water and so forth, right? Guarantees in writing that it's not going to change local power costs. They'll absorb all of those costs.
We'll even subsidize local power in some cases.
Right. So great point. But there is all kinds of red tape there now. You've got people within the government trying to stop them. You've got states that have outlawed them. You've got, I heard on a podcast recently, they said that, I can't remember, there's like 172 of them or something like that slated right now. And there was a comment made that if 50% of them get built, it would be great. Here is the point that you're interested in jumping on. The question is not, do we need them for the AI powered future that we're looking towards? The question is, my question would be, with all the delays and the challenges that are coming to those, with that happening, will AI and the chips continue to get so much better that maybe we don't need 400 of them, maybe we need 200 of them? And what does that mean overall? So have at that.
So first of all, the chips and the efficiency will get way better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, however, as it gets way better, costs should come down.
Okay.
As costs come down, demand will go up significantly, right? So rather than us using AI an hour a day,
mm-hmm.
right, because that's all we can afford, right? I mean, literally, Justin, our programmer,
mm-hmm.
stopped doing work or slowed down doing work because the bill for some of the AI stuff that he was using, quote unquote, got too high, at least in his mind, right? And so what did he do? He slowed down the use of some of the stuff of AI, right? So right now, especially at a business level, we are governing our use of AI either by the availability of it or the cost, right? Claude will shut you down if you use too much,
mm-hmm.
right? Or they'll charge so much that it's not practical anymore, right? So we have a cost and availability problem. If we had much more effective and efficient chips and efficient even how the models run and the efficiency of all of those things, and the costs were less,
okay,
then we would have much less, we would use much more of it, and we'll build things and continue to build things that use much more of it there. So I argue that reduced cost and higher efficiency will create even more demand for data centers because we'll just get more out of them, right? We'll be able to get a lot more out of them than what we go for. I mean, if you look at this in the internet, right, in the days of dial-up, we used to dial up and, check our mail, and we'd shut down the phone because we didn't want to have a busy signal on our phone. And then all of a sudden we had always on internet, right, on our phone and in our life
Sure.
and everything that's there. I believe we'll have always on AI eventually here in our life, and it won't be something we do, and then we don't do it. It'll
Mhm.
be always on one way or the other, and that's going to take a lot of computing power.
Okay.
So I think there's even a law. I can't remember the. I'd have to look it up. But as things become less expensive, consumption goes up significantly,
Sure.
and far
You like
outweighs
a
the,
Moore's law
the
type
cost and
thing?
efficient. Yeah, Moore's law type thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. So your position would be, we're not only going to need the ones that are on the books, we're going to need dramatically more because things
Yes.
will get more efficient and that will drive consumption.
Yes.
So is it dramatically more? Is it roughly what they're looking at now, or
Oh, I think we're way underestimating what we need.
okay?
We're way estimating what we need in data centers. We're underestimating what we need in power, to power data centers and
Mhm.
to do the things that we need to do to really take full advantage of what is coming and what is capable of what's going to be out there.
Yeah. Okay. So where are they going to be?
I don't know. I mean, that's the problem, right? Is the not
Space,
in my
right? You got to
backyard
go to
thing, right?
space. I mean,
Right. Look,
that's
I'm not suggesting that there's not going to be pushback. I'm
mhm.
not. It's happening now, and there'll be continuing to be pushback, and there'll be certainly data centers that even are on the on the 99-yard line that won't ever get built, and will get over the line,
Mhm.
right? So I'm not suggesting that that's the case. I think it's dumb. If you ask my opinion from a political perspective, it might make sense politically because it appeases some people, but I
Sure.
think it's short-sighted and stupid, right? To look at those things. Um, so, and there, we have a lot of land in this country. It's just, how do we utilize it? And look, I agree. If I wouldn't want my power to go up significantly or have a lot of environmental issues, but I do believe there is certainly those are being, rectified as they go along.
Yeah. I mean, if I owned a lot of land in the middle of the country, I'd be thinking solar, 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 and data centers.
Yeah.
The
Well, they're
idea,
going to be
right?
in space here soon. So
Well, I think I mean, it's so hard to even fathom that. It takes the Jeff Bezos of the world or an Elon Musk, in my mind, that type of thinking, um, to be able to even, I mean, obviously they understand the technology, that the
mhm.
capabilities are there to create that power and get it back here. But boy, that's
I
astounding.
mean, and Bob mentions distributed data centers. It's not a far-fetched idea
Mhm.
where you will have, put a server on the side of your house and get paid for it. Um, that's not a far-fetched idea,
Right.
right? There's a lot of horsepower that especially as we get more and more higher powered machines and all of those things, there's a lot of horsepower that we have in our, within our house that we're not
Mhm.
using.
Right.
And I don't, I don't know quite the logistical aspect of that, but it's not a completely crazy idea.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. Well, let's now take the other side of what Alex was talking about, right?
Okay.
And that was the adoption. And we've got another article here. It talks about, as well, from DC Velocity. It says AI adoption accelerates in supply chain. So that event, I took a look. There was, I think, 45 or more technology companies that were exhibiting at the event that Alex was speaking at. We were at a separate event this week, but there's no shortage of AI-based technology companies for distributors to take advantage of. And we see boatloads of new ones coming in day after day from Silicon Valley. I use the term Silicon Valley is minting new AI companies that are looking for somewhere to go sell what they do, and lots of them are coming to distribution and manufacturing. Most of those companies, I've had this discussion just 3 or 4 times with people this week. Most of those companies are calling themselves a platform. We've got distributors there was hundreds of distributors at this event that Alex was speaking of, from the article that we're talking about now, probably representing the equivalent of, there's I'm thinking there was 400 or 500 people tops there. I know that they're outgrowing the facility, which again, congratulations to Jonathan and Ian at DSG and their team. I'm going to say there was 150 companies, maybe 200 companies represented there. The forward-thinking people really looking to get their head around AI. How can it help us in our business? What we're seeing, though, is, and in some of the articles I watched earlier in the week that Mark Brohan, our friend here, had published, every time I saw a chart that was related to AI adoption and return on investment, it was tied to one piece of AI type of software, which they had 5 or 6 vendors for in that room. You would guess what it was?
Order processing.
Yeah. Right now, everything that I'm seeing out there of research studies that are done is return on investment is manual order processing and AI technology that solves that can literally, some of them can capture it from a phone call, some of it can capture it from an email, most of them can take it from take it off of a picture of a piece of drywall that's got an order written on it, which is great. My point being is, and this is a little bit of a soapbox that I'm going to be on for quite some time, is distributors have lived in a world and manufacturers have lived in a world historically where they have disconnected data systems across their business. I was having lunch with a prospect of ours who happened to have been in town. He's a manufacturer, and I met him at an affiliated distributors event because he's a vendor to AD and sells to quite a few of our customers, existing distributor customers. And we were talking about this over lunch yesterday about siloed data across the business, that it is literally hamstringing companies, because what they're doing right now, and his company was running into this as well, is there's a rush to AI and technology because we see the hype in the media. And we have lots of solutions, and people are going, and I don't want to say in general, but many people, because I see it at the events I go to and I talk to people that are looking at solving a quick pain point, which is great, right? If you can buy order entry AI technology that is going to reduce your, you can do 3 times as much with the same person and don't need to hire more people, more power to you. That's a great idea. But if that doesn't tie into an action plan and a technology and data plan for the long term, you start running into things. We were talking about it earlier in the week about a customer of ours who went and bought a data lake because everybody was talking about data lakes, and their CEO asked about a data lake. And then they started dumping stuff into a data lake, and now they've got stuff out of SharePoint and into a data lake, but they have the same mess, right? Because there wasn't a plan for what we're going to do with this. And I think where we're at right now is why we're going to see a lot of this is that people are going to start buying shiny objects. They're going to get a little bit of a return, but they're minimizing what they could be doing for their overall organization by having a plan of how are we using platforms. I mean, everybody calls themselves a platform. When I looked at that list of people in the building, by the true definition of what a technology platform is, there's only one of all of the kind. Had we been there, there would have been 2, right? So that, anyways, I'm throwing a lot at you, Tom. I just talked a lot. Want to unpack that and throw rocks at it, or agree, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's probably a half a dozen acute pain points in most distribution, order entry and the order process being one of those, that can and should be solved by a point product.
Yeah.
Right, a point AI product. Okay. Solve those. I'm not, to your point, there's no reason not to solve those. And those are sort of like acute, immediate 911 pain points.
Yep.
Okay. But then if you take a step back from those acute pain points and you look at, okay, holistically and strategically, how do I want to incorporate AI into my business? And even technology / AI, right? How do I want to put the right technology infrastructure into the business that can support a more strategic, long-going use of AI and just technology in general? That's a separate project. It's a separate thing. I will say on the plus side, at least the people I'm talking to, and maybe it's because they're already our existing customers or close to being existing customers, is the concept of looking at things a bit more holistically, the importance of looking at true platform, the ability to have something that you can extend, it's extensible, and so forth. I am seeing more and more of an awareness of that, and a more and more of a understanding that that is the right way to be looking at it, rather than just continuing to try and band-aid a million different things in the organization. So I think we should separate the two out. I think there's,
Good point.
like I said, I think there's some acute problems that can for sure should and for sure be and handled right away. But let's not mistake those from just hey, we're handling an acute 911 problem versus, trying to then put something that's a more of a holistic strategy into the organization.
Yeah, I like that. Makes a lot of sense, Tom.
So-
And I was just having this discussion the other day with a distributor that's had been to that event, and their organization has done a nice job of building some of their own technology, and he was really looking at things from a standpoint of he was looking to benchmark his company at that event against other distributors that were there, and then also with some of the tools and technology that they have built. He was looking at trying to benchmark that against some of the vendors that were there. And we've had this platform discussion. And I don't think he had looked at it this way. Really, really sharp guy. Really always enjoy my conversations with him. And we had the platform discussion, and he was like, well, how do you kind of define that, right? Because everybody says they're a platform. And I just said, and you used the word extensible a moment ago, right? And I told him, I said, he was the perfect example because of their desire to build some internal tools, right? As I said, the simple way is to just ask the company that says they're a platform how soon you can get access to the code so you can build some additional tools on top of their solution to fit your business better, right? Now, if you were to walk into a room, it doesn't matter whether you're at this week's AI event or an AD event with lots of vendors there, or a trade association event, or just went online and started searching, the vast majority of point software products that you could never get access to their code because it just wouldn't work, are calling themselves platforms. But where the future lies, right, is and you may not have these people in your organization today if you're listening to this as a wholesale distributor, but you will have people over the next few years in your organization just because of the young people that are coming into the market and the things that they are learning, that are going to look at your tech stack and say, I want to build on top of this. We could use this I'll use LeadSmart as a perfect example. Historically, for the first 5 years, 6 years of our life, we've been looked at as a CRM, right? But now your team is building all these other unique tools that we've got purchasing teams that want to access the data, operations team that want to access the data, executives that want to slice and dice some data, right? Because it's extensible. It can expand and extend beyond the original use case. And that's where I think people are getting into a little bit of a challenge and a struggle right now, is they're buying things, and their risk is that they end up with the exact same silos. And this is the risk, that they end up with the exact same silos that they had with traditional server-based or cloud-based software, that now they want to use AI and they can't see the AI across their overall business. So interesting time. I think we spent a lot of time expanding on Alex's simple article.
Well, let me just add more one. I know we're going to need to wrap up here, but I wanted to add one. We use the word AI, right? I think we have to make sure that we separate out two different applications, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
One is, okay, how am I going to use AI in my business to support the things that I'm trying to accomplish, either internally or with my customers or so forth? Okay. The other aspect of it is, how am I using AI to build things that I couldn't have built before?
Okay.
Right. I think we underestimate that. Right. The things that you with AI enables you to build technologically today, and I'm not just talking about software applications, although that's a huge part of it,
Mm-hmm.
but even integrations, API integrations, things like that. API or AI can either facilitate building those for you or accelerate the process of getting those things
Right.
built and put into place. That even, we talk about a lot of our customers don't have big IT staffs that don't require a big IT staff, right? But, and the big but is, what platform are you going to build these things on? Right. Are you going to build a bunch of siloed applications, or do you want to build these things on a platform that can start leveraging data and leveraging information one to the other, to then go back full circle to potentially have more capabilities on using AI within the organization? So I think you have to separate out AI. The advantage of AI is AI in application, but then there's also AI in the ability to build and construct and test and all of those things that keeps getting better and better every day, that literally would have been, or it was impossible a year ago. So,
okay. So that's final statement. It's final word.
my final statement.
Final word. Okay. All right. Don't want to
You
call
look
it Frank.
busy. It looks like you're doing a whole bunch of other things other than when I'm talking.
I was just writing down that I needed to do something today for you.
Okay. What was that?
It's not for consumption on the show.
Okay. I think I know what that is.
You had something you needed me to do this week when
Yes,
I got back in
yes,
town. And
yes.
I was writing the note down to make sure that I was taking care of what your needs were.
Okay, good.
My
Well,
role
that's what
in
we
life.
said. Happy Tom, happy life. We said
My
this
role in
earlier.
life is that Darlene and Tom are happy at all times, as well as the rest of the employees. But I think there's a far lower pecking order of the rest of the people here at LeadSmart. So,
Okay.
this comment was made here. We need to view AI as primarily an efficiency tool and not an effectiveness tool. That could probably be a whole nother 10 or 15-minute discussion. I think in closing on this topic is, if you're a wholesale distributor or manufacturer, you're looking at AI, identify what those use cases are, problems that you can solve. And I would say it's not even necessarily that it needs to be AI. There's some tools that have maybe been built using AI to help build the tools, but the tools aren't necessarily actual true AI. The question is, can it solve these issues?
No, but they're remarkable, right? They're remarkable, extraordinary tools that you couldn't have created before.
No, yeah. But the point is, if you need to solve a problem, go get that. And I'm kind of recapping what you said here. Go look to solve that problem, but be thinking bigger picture. And where does my organization want to be in a year, in 3 years, in 10 years using technology? And if you want to do that and not get yourself in a pickle where you have the same challenges with siloed data, be thinking platform, whatever platform that is, that can bring your structured, unstructured data. Think spreadsheets versus Word docs and PDFs that can be bringing data in, plus all of your connected other software system. That's where the future lies. Tom, before we go today, though, can you bring the newsletter back up? And we're going to look down to our scuttlebutt section. We're going to miss our cybersecurity and robotics section for today, and our people and leadership segment, just because we talked about too many other things, but there's good articles there. But in our industry scuttlebutt section, our good friends at Lone Star Electric Supply, they're friends and a great, wonderful partner and customer of ours. They just launched a whole new division to work with data centers. And they're growing and expanding, just a rocket ship of a company that came out of nowhere 10, 11 years ago and has taken over some huge market share in the electrical industry. But they have just launched a whole new division with their company. CORE stands for CapEx optimization, reliability, and execution for mission critical projects, i.e. tied to infrastructure. So good for them. Congratulations to Jeff and his team at Lone Star for that. So got to shout out to the people that help pay our bills, right?
And they appreciate platforms.
Well, they understand what platforms do, right? That's a great point. Great point. Good. All right, Tom, what's the weekend hold for you?
Nothing too exciting.
You're gonna go drive a Tesla.
Okay, well, just take care of what you need to, and I've
got my notes
get it
down
this
for things
weekend.
I need to do.
Okay.
That was another note I wrote earlier.
Okay,
So
good.
all right. So everybody, now that you know that Tom and I are looking at new cars, chime in on what you think of those. we've heard from a few people today, and people are out buying stock right now. So that was kind of funny. Good show. Always enjoy a conversation. Again, this is 196. Can't believe it. Coming up on 200. We'll get that
Tesla's up $10 today. It's up
already.
about $10 since we started the show.
Well,
so
you know what? Maybe that people are seeing that if you have one, the reputation of the company just goes through the roof.
of Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, look at the market presence that you have. You're an influencer, right? You have a podcast. So
okay, maybe I'll get one of those, like those covers you put on it, those like plastic things you put on it. You know, that you can brand your car. You know, you see cars that are kind of wrap. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah.
Yes, a wrap. Okay.
I'll put it around the horn.
As long as you don't listen to rap.
Okay.
Fine. I joke. I was at an event a few months ago, and my invitation to come speak at the event I was in the influencer category. Could you imagine if I told my kids that somebody considers me an influencer?
I think they would get a good laugh on that.
They would. Although I provide good laughs for them all the time. So anyways, we're winding down right now. I'm Kevin Brown. This is Tom Burton. We get together every week. We appreciate you spending time with us. Your time is precious. We hope we bring some value to these discussions. We're grateful for you being with us. We do ask one favor. If you like what you hear, if you're a user of Apple Podcasts or another podcast platform in particular, click the like button and subscribe and leave a review for us. If you're listening on YouTube, or even if you're not, then jump in there, hit the subscribe button. Wherever you might be listening, hit the follow, the subscribe, the like, and the review if there's an opportunity. That gets us out in front of more people. I think I mentioned earlier today, the newsletter goes out to many, many countries. Typically on our weekly download view, we're in 5 to 7 countries of people listening into the show. So we're greatly appreciative of it. But how do we get that out in front of the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of wholesale distribution companies and the marketplace that serves 1/3 of U.S. GDP is by you sharing and liking and subscribing and getting it out to other people with us. So we greatly appreciate that. Lastly, we talked a lot about technology today. If your company is looking to digitally transform, start using technology to accelerate growth in your business and reduce risks within your business, we'd love to talk to you at LeadSmart as well. And you can reach out to us anytime. Tom, there was a comment here. Tom is an influencer. I'm waiting to see him strike a coquettish Eugene pose for the camera. Don't even know what that means. But Tom, you do make some good faces for us on the show, so we're appreciative of those. We also heard no gongs, no other clapping today from your laugh track system. There we go. So that's. We wish everybody a great weekend. Be kind, be safe, do good things.